Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dig into a really big question, one that's at the core of pretty much every great innovation, every startup, every creative project you can think of.
So, where do great ideas actually come from? Seriously, take a second and think about it. When you picture some world-changing invention, what's the story that pops into your head? I bet it's something like this.
You know, the classic scene, right? The apple bonks Newton on the head, or that light bulb just poof appears over a cartoon character's head. It's this one single perfect moment of insight where everything just clicks. And look, it makes for a great story, it's perfect for the movies, but in the real world, yeah, that whole idea, it's a myth. The notion that these amazing ventures start with one brilliant idea that just lands in your lap all wrapped up with a bow, it's just not true. It's a concept we all kind of need to unlearn, and there's actually a name for it.
It's called the Eureka myth. And honestly, the longer you hold on to this idea, the more you're holding yourself back. Because this isn't just some harmless little story. It actually has real, kind of dangerous consequences.
So why is it so dangerous? Well, for one, it makes us passive. It makes you think you just have to sit around and wait for that perfect idea to zap you like lightning. And it creates this totally false idea that some people are just idea people, and the rest of us, well, we're not. But that's just not how innovation works. The real story is way messier, and frankly, it's a lot more interesting.
So let's dive into some real-world examples. If you look at the evidence, you'll see that most of the ideas that totally changed our world, they started out as something drastically different, something you might have even laughed at first.
All right, let's take Facebook. I mean, today it's this global behemoth connecting billions of people. But where did it start? Its very first version was basically a hot or not game for Harvard students to rate each other's looks. I'm not kidding. A completely different planet from what it is now.
Or how about Airbnb? Such a brilliant concept today, right? Connecting travelers with cool places to stay. But its origin story? It was a super specific solution to a one-time problem. A big design conference was in town, all the hotels were sold out, so the founders were literally just renting out air mattresses on their living room floor. That's it.
And then you've got Twitter. This one's a wild one. The global hub for short-form updates and breaking news, it started its life as a company called Audio, a podcasting subscription service. There is almost zero connection between those two things. It was a total pivot.
And check this out. Flickr, the huge photo sharing community, it wasn't even meant to be a photo app. It was just a tiny little feature for sharing pictures that was buried inside an online video game. The game completely flopped, but that one little photo sharing widget, people loved.
Okay, so it's pretty clear, right? Great ideas almost never start out great. They start out as something else, often something kind of underwhelming. So the big question is, how? How do you get from renting out air mattresses to becoming a multi-billion-dollar giant? Well, it really boils down to two key things.
Think of it like an engine of change. And that engine is powered by two main forces, steady evolution and what's called a strategic pivot. Now, they might sound kind of similar, but trust me, they're very, very different.
Okay, so steady evolution, that's the slow, gradual stuff. It's what happens naturally as you learn more from your customers and the market. You tweak things, you make small changes, it's organic. A pivot, though, that's a whole different ballgame. That's a conscious, top-level decision. It's the big all-hands-on-deck meeting where the leaders say, okay, folks, this isn't working, we're throwing out the old plan, and we're going in a completely new direction. That's exactly what happened with Audio when they realized podcasting was going nowhere and decided to bet everything on that little side project that became Twitter.
And this all leads us to what I think is the single most important point of this whole thing. If success isn't about having a stroke of genius, then what is it? What's the real advantage that successful people and companies actually have? I absolutely love this quote because it's so freeing. The author of The Lean Startup basically says, hey, guess what? Most of our ideas are actually terrible. And that includes the ideas that sound so brilliant when they're just rattling around in our own heads. The thing is, that's completely normal. Even the most brilliant people have bad ideas all the time. The real difference is what they do after they have the idea.
So this is the real path. It's not about waiting, it's all about doing. First, you just start with an idea. Seriously, any idea will do. Second, you figure out what you assume to be true about that idea. Then, and this is the absolute key, you get out there and actually test those assumptions in the real world. And finally, based on what you find out, you either make those small tweaks and evolve, or you make that big strategic pivot.
So that's it. That's the secret sauce. The people and companies that win aren't the ones who start with the best ideas. No way. They're the ones who have the guts to go out and test their bad ideas, the humility to say, oops, I was wrong about that, and the speed to change course based on what they learn. They just figure out what's broken faster than anyone else, and that's how they eventually find what works.
So I want to leave you with a question. I want you to forget about waiting for that perfect Eureka moment to strike. Instead, think about the ideas you already have. The imperfect ones, the kind of weird ones, maybe even the ones you think are a little embarrassing. Which one of those bad ideas are you willing to actually go out and test? Because that right there, that's where the truly brilliant ideas are hiding.